Hello friends, welcome back to my channel again. Today we are going to see some middle grade book recommendations. Typically, middle grade books are written for children who are of the age group from 8 to 12, but in my opinion, when a middle grade book is written so well, even adults can enjoy. I have enjoyed and read so many middle grade books that I constantly think about. They always take place in my top 10 books of the year. Always. They are no exceptions. They are so cozy, they are magical, they are light-hearted, they are so fun to read. Sometimes you just want to read some middle grade and just get lost in that world. They're personally very healing for me. I love reading a middle grade book oftentimes, especially after I read a very serious book or a very long book. I tend to pick up some very short middle grade books that will not let me go into a reading slump. So this is basically me desperately convincing you to read some middle grade books, and these are my recommendations. I hope this will help you. So the first book that I want to recommend is something that you might have already seen in my channel multiple times. This is a book that I am obsessed with. This is a finished series, so if you are looking for a series to binge, this will be it. And the series is A Pinch of Magic series, and look at all the gorgeous, eye-blinding design of this book. Let me just show you all the books in the series and then I'll let you know what this is about. The first one in the series is A Pinch of Magic, A Sprinkle of Sorcery, A Tangle of Spell, which is my most favorite one in the series, A Storm of Sisters, the final and the last one. So the story itself follows three sisters who are Widershin sisters. Their father is in jail and their mother is dead, and they all live with their grandmother. They all are bestowed upon with some magical elements to them. One makes them vanish, one makes them time travel, and such. They are being passed on from their generation to generation inside their family. Although they have these magical elements, this family has a curse. They cannot leave the town. If they leave the town, they'll be dead by the dawn. So one of the sister, Betty, I think she wants to be an adventure. She wants to travel. She wants to explore the world. So this curse is kind of very inconvenient. So she and her sister sets off to break this curse. This is a wonderful, adventurous, atmospheric story. I don't think anyone can go wrong with this one. If whimsical, magical stories are your vibe, this is the book that you should check out. I loved this series. I loved this one and the third book to the most, and the other two books were so great too, but this and the third book has my entire heart. I constantly keep thinking about this book and this world and the sisters. It has wonderful sibling dynamics too. So I can keep going on about this book, but I'll stop myself because we have more books to talk about. The next book is also a series. It is an ongoing series. The fourth installment is going to be released this September, and I'm most excited for it. The series I'm talking about is Nevermoor series. This is the first one, Nevermoor, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. And the second book is Wondersmith. The third book is The Hollow Box. So this book is kind of very similar to Harry Potter. There is a magical school. In this book, it is called the Wondrous Society. This girl, Morrigan Crow, is kind of cursed to be dead on her 11th birthday. But on her 11th birthday, there comes a man called Jupiter North and sweeps her off her feet and takes her into a very different world and makes her enter into the Wondrous Society School of Magic by attending some trials. So this book is all about Morrigan Crow entering the Wondrous Society and making some friends, and it is so good. The characters in here, it's all top notch. I loved reading this book. I am very sad that it is taking so long for the fourth installment to come. I devoured all the three books in this series so fast. So I'm kind of very excited for the next book to come up. Like The Pinch of Magic, this is also magical and whimsical. And if you like Pinch of Magic, you will also like the Nevermoor too. And if you also like Harry Potter, this will be your kind of book. The next book that I want to talk to you about is one of the funniest books that I've ever read in a middle grade. You will laugh out loud reading this book, and this is a standalone. You can just read it and get just done with it. The book is called The Extremely Inconvenient Adventures of Brontë Mettlestone by Jacklyn Moriarty. This book is, just as the title says, it is a kind of inconvenient adventure that Brontë has to take because of their parents. Their parents is out for an adventure and they are dead now. So she is getting a kind of will that she has to distribute to each of her aunts so as to fulfill their will. Otherwise, she will be dead. I think that is the case. I've read it so long ago, but this is the gist of the story. So she has to go on an adventure to meet all her aunt and deliver all the items that has to be delivered in the will. By that, she makes friends with all her aunts. All her aunts are very cool, by the way. One is a mermaid, I think. One is a witch. One is kind of, another magical creature. It is very, very fun to read. They are all very impeccable characters. The fun and the humor that is woven around the story is really something. I loved reading it. I also devoured it. I gave it 5 stars. This is such a beautiful story. I wanted to read more of Jacklyn Moriarty's work, but I don't know, somehow I did not pick anything up. I feel like this is my sign to read more of Jacklyn Moriarty. She is the funniest author out there for a middle grade book. The next book is one that I've already told you about in my winter recommendation. The book is Green Glass House by Kate Milford. And this story is really perfect for winter because it is chill spinning winter when the story is taking place. There's a snow blizzard and they're all snowed in. The story follows a guy called Milo. He is an adoptive son to these parents and they run an inn. That inn is especially for the smugglers of the area. So it itself is very creepy. And unusually on a snow blizzard day, there are a lot of guests coming up to the inn and they are staying. And that seems very odd for Milo. But nonetheless, they are all inside, cuddled up, having a blanket. They exchange stories by the fire. There is a mystery attached to it. There is a kind of tinge of paranormal aspect to the story. It is such a wonderful story and it is such a wonderful time. I loved being in this world and I cannot read more of the green glass mysteries that are out there. I think Blue Crown or something like that. The books are there. I really wanted to continue the series. And I think it is a standalone. You can read it individually without reading the first book. But this book I can vouch for. It is really good and I absolutely adored. By the way, all the books that I recommend here are mostly 5 stars for me. I've enjoyed them thoroughly and they all have my entire heart. This story is really perfect for autumn because the story has witches and this is very atmospheric for fall. The one that I'm talking about is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. This story follows a village where the villagers kind of sacrifice their children, one children per year, to the witch of the swamp. But the swamp witch really doesn't need any children. The villagers are thinking themselves that the offering might help them, but the witch feels like it is ridiculous. But she carries these children to across the forest to the another town and deliver them to a different family for them to raise. While doing so, she always feed the children starlight in order to survive them. But one day she gets this girl called Luna and accidentally feeds her moonlight. So moonlight is kind of filled with magic in this world and she gets so magic in her and the witch decides to rise her herself. So this is a kind of cottagecore, witchy fall vibe. If these are all the things that you love, you will definitely love this book. I enjoyed this thoroughly. It is a coming of age story. It has beautiful friendship. It has beautiful mother-daughter relationship. I guess this is a very wholesome book with all the witchy vibes to it. I cannot recommend this book enough. I hope you have a very good time reading it. So the next book is a book that I read very recently and I am absolutely head over heel in love with it. This is a book that I gave 5 stars and it's going to be my all-time favorite. You might have heard about this book. This has been in my TBR for a very long time. I'm very happy that I read it. The book is The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. I have read Neil Gaiman's Coraline and fortunately The Milk before, both of which I loved. I highly recommend those two also for a middle grade. I don't know why I didn't include that in my video, but this stole my heart. This is such an atmospheric read for fall. It has the ghosty, eerie atmosphere to it, which I loved. So this story follows a kid called Nobody Owens. Literally, nobody owns him because their parents are dead and the ghost of the graveyard decides to raise him up. So they name him Nobody. And the couple who takes care of him is called Owens. So he's called Nobody Owens. The entire story takes place in a graveyard and all his friends are ghosts. So it's kind of a weird story to read, but nonetheless, it is filled with magic, whimsy, and the atmosphere. It's really, I cannot emphasize on the fact how atmospheric this book is. I literally felt like I'm sitting inside the graveyard and reading a book with all the ghosts surrounding me. I love Neil Gaiman to my entire heart. I do want to continue reading all his books now. This is really, really good book. Please do check it out. If you're reading anything from this pile, please do check Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. So last December, I read this book and I had an entire vlog for this book. I will link it down below if you want to check it out. The book is Frostheart by Jamie Littler. And this book is kind of fun. It's very fun. It is very wintry, perfect for the winter season. It has beautiful illustrations. The cover is so good. I think this is a trilogy. There are 2 more books in the series. I have read only one and I do want to continue the other two books. Hopefully this December I will get to it. So this story follows a guy called Ash, and he has lost his parents. I think all the middle grade books are so morbid. All their parents are dead. I don't know why, but this also has the same storyline. Their parents are dead, and he's been risen by villagers of the village where he's staying, and each villager has kind of pushing him away because he has an ability to sing, which is kind of prohibited in that village. So he is being given to an grumpy Etty to take care of, and he finally finds out that his parents are not dead, and they are on an adventure or something. So he has to go on an adventure himself to find his parents. So he and his guardian, grumpy guardian Etty, has to go on an adventure in a ship where there are monsters on the land, and they have to fight it. He's making friends and he's finding enemies. It is all such a nice time to hang out, especially during December. This is the best book you can pick for December. So the next book is the book that I'm currently in the middle of, but I can vouch you that this is going so great so far that I did want to include in this recommendation list. And this is also one of the books that is very perfect for winter because it is taking place in Siberia. Russian folklore and all those things are being a part of it. This is taking place during the World War II. The book that I'm talking about is Nevertell by Katherine Orton. This story follows a group of thieves who are trying to escape the prison from the northern Siberia, and two young fellows, like two kids, are also being dragged with them. The girl that we follow is Lena and her friend Bogdan. So Lena has left her mother in the prison, and she has left along with her friend Bogdan. She has to find her grandmother who is in Moscow, and have to get back together and help her mother to get away from the prison. So the initial chapters were so cool. It is unlike any other middle grade in this. She has literally been born inside the prison, and she makes friends with the prisoners. It is all very good. It was very fresh to read a middle grade book which is taking place inside the prison. And it is also very wintry, atmospheric, and I'm enjoying myself reading it. I hope I will finish this book after making this video, and I'll let you know how it was, but so far it is so good and I highly recommend it. The next story that I want to recommend is a middle grade graphic novel which is so good. I read it in my Kindle. I'll show it to you now. Tea Dragon Society by Kelly O'Neill. This was such a wonderful read. There are 3 books in it. The first one was very good. I enjoyed the other 2 too. The artwork, everything was so pretty, so it was just a nice time. You can read this during a fall or a winter time. It is really nice. It is all about these dragons. These dragons have tea leaves growing out of their body. You kind of have to take care of the dragon, and then you harvest the leaves from their body and to make tea, and those teas will have some magical powers in this world. So this is all about it. We follow a girl called Greta and her experience with finding a lost tea dragon, and she learns to take care of it. It is all such a magical time. Just check it out. You can finish this book within half an hour. So this is a kind of a perfect book for graphic novel lovers. And if you haven't read any graphic novel at all and you want to just have a nice time, do pick this up. It has such great artworks in it. You'll just fall in love with all the characters. It is really very good. So we have come to the final book of this recommendation. This is a book that was gifted by my mother, and she gave it to me because I made 100 followers in Instagram, which was very early, like 2 or 3 years before. And I loved this story. It is very special to my heart for the same reason. The book is Hatmakers by Tanzim Merchant. This is a wonderful story, but let me show you the book before I tell you about the story, because this is such a beautiful piece of work. Like, the cover itself is so great. Also, look at the naked. It is such a great book. Also, this book has illustrations in it. They are really very good. I can't get enough of it. I think there are 2 more books in the series. I think Map Makers and Troublemakers. I am yet to read it. This is a book that I read 3 years before. I want to reread it before I get to the next 2 books because I vaguely remember the story. But the story itself follows Cordelia. In this world, there are families who make different things, like there are hat makers, there are shoemakers and stuff, and only certain families can put in magical ingredients and produce a magical hat that gives specific magical output. They all work for the kingdom of the England, and her parents, in a search for magical ingredients for the hat, they go on in a voyage and they get lost along with the ship. So she is going to find out what really happened to their parents. She thinks that there is something else attached to the mystery of their missing parents. And meanwhile, there is a kind of magical war that is being brewing up in the kingdom. She has to tackle that too and also find her parents. This is such a magical story. It was very, very good. I can't wait to read The Map Makers and The Troublemakers. So that is pretty much it, guys. These are all the 10 books that I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you stop being skeptical and pick up a middle grade book and see how it is. I assure you that it will bring you so much joy and you will love it. I am so much in love with all the middle grade books that I read. If you have any middle grade recommendation for me, please leave it in the comments below. I would love to know. I'm always in the lookout for some middle grade recommendations. So until I see you in a very next video with a bookish content, this is Sushmita signing off.